Tulsa plays hard, aggressive defensively. They look to try to create steals. They'll play, probably 65% zone. Uh, Usually start games off in some man and then go zone, and they're deep. They play a lot of different guys. They have a lot of contributors. Uh, Tough, hard-nosed team.
They've already won at Vanderbilt. I know that Vanderbilt's not Kentucky, but the fact they've already won a road game against an SEC team, that's something you stress with your guys?
Yeah, I mean, we showed them the Vanderbilt game, and obviously, coming in here 8-2, they're a team that's a winning program, and again, I mean, we've got to come ready to play for sure.
This is your first time to play after a loss. How's practice been this week? How do you expect your guys to bounce back?
I hope we'll bounce back like we have in the past, which is with a lot of energy and a lot of determination, a lot of toughness. I hope that's how we bounce back. I wish we would have played. We lost on Saturday. I wish we would have played Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but we had a week, between games, and hopefully we still have that bad taste in our mouth, even though it's been, a little bit of time separating, between the Western game and this game.
How healthy is everybody?
100% healthy.
Mason's shoulder all right.
Mason's shoulder's all right. My brain's all right. Everybody's feeling good.
What were your main takeaways from the final minutes of the game? Anything that you do differently?
Not really. I mean, we do a lot differently because we lost. So to say no, we do everything the same would not be truthful. But Isaiah had the ball in his hands. We had a charge, and Mason had the ball in his hands, got fouled. We missed a couple free throws that were crucial. We've talked to Mason about.
Hello, and I'm gonna tell you, this is what I'm gonna start doing, Demetrius. This is what I'm gonna start doing before every show, since they hired my guy to be the new football coach. Yes, sir. Welcome to the A. It's our Friday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ 479. We come to you from 1 to 2 p.m. And real quick, before we continue on with our open discussion, you can call us, you can talk to us through our On the Hill Facebook Live page, our On the Hill Sports Talk LLC YouTube live stream. You can shoot us questions, whatever you want to do today. We decided not to have guests. You guys are going to be our guests for today's A. And I want you to chime in. Arkansas has a brand new defensive coordinator, as rumors have surfaced that Barry Odom is expected to be the next defensive coordinator here at Arkansas, former Missouri coach. Also, too, Justin Stepp, formerly with the previous staff under Chad Morris as the wide receiver coach, will be retained under Coach Sam Pittman as the wide receiver coach for the Razorbacks. Great hire. And then, yesterday also was announced formally that offensive line coach Brad Davis will be the new offensive line coach here. I want to bring in my producer, but before that, I want to let everyone know we just heard audio from head basketball coach Eric Musselman as they prepare for an early game tomorrow in Bud Walton Arena on Nolan Richardson Court as they take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. But real quick, I want to bring in my guy, best producer in the world, Demetrius. What's going on, my man? It's Friday.
Not much. Just trying to get situated over here.
Stephen Billy Wayne Carter says hello and yes, sir.
Oh, he know what's up, man. Even there, he know what's up.
This is going to be a really good staff, I think, that Sam is putting together. And see, you look on social media as we have to do almost nonstop. Seems like we can't ever put our phone down in the line of work that we do. And you see a lot of the fans getting antsy and irritated, that he doesn't have his staff in order. But great things take time to prepare. You want to hire the right coaches. That's what makes Sam Pittman such a great recruiter. He takes time to build relationships. He takes time with each and every individual to show genuineness. And I think that's what he's doing with these hires. He's got a lot of options because of the personality that he's displayed, the type of man that he is, the type of coach that he is, and how well respected he is throughout the collegiate football world. Throughout, not only every coach, and has a high regard for Sam. So he's being fair. he's one of those guys that's new to him. I mean, I think it's a big time hire, Demetrius, when you think about Barry Odom having past head coaching experience in the SEC as late as just 3 weeks ago. I mean, how big is that for Sam? I mean, he's making player moves right now.
I think it's huge. I think anytime you can get a staff of head coaches, I think that's something that made Nick Saban great. Anytime he would hire coaches, he would a lot of times hire coaches with head coaching experience,
right,
or assistant head coaching experience. And I think what it does is allows your immediate group, whether you're a quarterback coach or defensive line coach, to get coached as if you were the running the ship, as if you were the head coach. So there's different principles and styles of teaching and coaching, that the average coach that hasn't coached at a head coach level wouldn't understand. And I think also it gives Sam Pittman the ability for his staff to not always agree with him.
Right.
You don't want a staff that always agrees with everything you have to say. You want someone that can bring something to the table that makes you think outside the box,
right,
or something that you wouldn't think. And I think Pittman understands that with this being his first year as head coach. He wants guys surrounded around him that can make him great.
And want to make a note, Billy Wayne Carter. We're gonna start. He's gonna be known as BWC here on OTH. He's listening and viewing, watching us all the way from Ripley, Tennessee, Demetrius, all the way in Tennessee. I mean, it makes us feel really humble that you guys take time out to have us be a part of your sports information day. We really feel good about that. But when you really look at this as the big weekend, you're starting to see even more so, Demetrius, in this hire of Sam Pittman with some of these recruits that are going to be making their way for official visits this weekend, the likes of Ray Curry, who was previously committed to Missouri. Marcus Henderson was a young man that made an unofficial, I think, as last summer under Chad Morris. You have Darian Turner, the former wide receiver commit that decommitted, but I think having Justin Stepp out of Memphis Central High School, he's able to take another official visit. Tyrus Wheat, junior college linebacker out of Copa Lincoln Junior College there in Mississippi. I think he'll be on campus, and there's a surprise. Everyone says a big time. J.J. Hester is another young man, a wide receiver out of the Booker T. Washington area that's going to be on campus this weekend. And something tells me that Mr. Slusher may find his way. He may be that secretive 4-star recruit that's going to make his way to favor. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But I think it's going to be somewhere in that Tulsa area. One of those guys may be the surprise visitor. But just when you look at that, 4 stars, guys on the offensive line of importance that can make an impact. Jalen St. Paul, another current commit to the offensive lineman to the University of Missouri. Now with Brad Davis over here, you kind of see the aggression. And like I said, we always thought, Demetrius, the Pittman effect would happen. It's happening early, but what makes it so big is it's happening at the right spot that, this fan base has long needed for it to happen, and that's on the offensive line.
So tell me, so with the hire of Barry Odom, what do you think Barry Odom brings to the table?
An aggressive style of defense. I've always felt like former linebackers that turn into and grow into become defensive coordinators have a really, really special sense of the ball game, having been, they're the quarterback most of the time during their college careers with deciphering defenses, and they have that extra it factor. People tend to follow the middle linebackers when they're the head of your defense. I think Barry's going to come into Fayetteville understanding how you have to play, the style you have to play, and how physical, the same belief like Coach Pittman has. You have to be tough in this conference, and, not too many years removed, he was the defensive coordinator during that run, I believe, or 2 or 3 years where the Missouri Tigers made their way to the SEC championship game. That was due to Barry Odom being the defensive coordinator, and what his extent, that being able to take the 105th ranked defense when he took over at Memphis, and when he leaves, get him to number 11. The guy has a great sense of developmental skills, and I think he's going to surround himself with a very, very in-tune staff that's going to be just as aggressive as he. But I think first and foremost, you're going to get great aggression on that defensive side of the ball, a guy that really understands, defensive schemes.
I'm curious to really see how many players Barry Odom really got into the NFL. Because really when you think about Missouri, they've had a big draft pick drafted out of Missouri for probably like the last 5 years, if I can really just think about it. So I also look at it as he brings a variety of co-signers, because I think anytime you're doing business, you need other reputable people to really co-sign you and speak on your behalf. And I think anytime you have NFL players I'm trying to think of that defensive end that came from Missouri a couple of years ago.
Shane, forgot his last name, but I remember who you're talking about.
But I know there's a couple of defensive players that were profile players in the NFL or had a little stint that can really speak on behalf of Barry Odom. So I think going back to that recruiting standpoint, I think Barry Odom can bring a huge recruiting standpoint and ties with a lot of people.
Sheldon Richardson comes to mind, a defensive lineman that Barry was able to lure and keep in the state of Missouri, have him go to Missouri. Terry Buckner, another young man that's just now finishing up his collegiate career there, was prior to Barry taking over, was a lead recruiter as the defensive coordinator and, in particular recruiting Terry to the University of Missouri. So, he's well known to be a very good recruiter as well. And I think that's what you're gonna have. What you're gonna see with this staff is great guys that are gonna be able to develop these kids, build great relationships with this football program, and really go out and sell Arkansas because of just the love I think that these prospective recruits in the future will have, and that's all going to be directly attributed to the way Sam Pittman is. I thought in his press conference on Monday, I thought Sam set the culture right there, Demetrius. From day one, the way that he is, you saw the passion and the loyalty that this individual, and I can't think about. I've covered a lot of football coaches. That's been the head coach at the University of Arkansas, Lou Holtz. I grew up watching Lou. I grew up watching Hatfield, then Danny Ford. The Joe Kinses. The Houston Nuts, Bobby Petrino. And the likes, but I don't think that there's been a coach. I think Houston Nutt might have been the closest to Ken Hatfield and Frank Broyles. Sam Pittman is right there with just the love that he has for the program and the want to be here. And when you have the want to be here, kids can sense if you really believe in what you're selling.
I think that was the key word that Sam Pittman said that he first could bring. He said, "I'm going to make these kids believe."
Right.
Sometimes you can have all the talent that you need, but if they don't believe they can win a game, it does no good. And I think that's where you're going to see the immediate turnaround, because people keep saying, okay, what's going to be Arkansas' record next year, and are they going to win over 2-3 games? And I think they're going to win over 3 games, but I think that the thing that you're going to see in a 1-year difference is the effort and the ability to finish games and play through games and not look in the fourth quarter like nobody wants to be out there and the defense giving up 400 to 500 yards a game. I don't think you're going to see that anymore at Arkansas.
And BWC says any defense will be better than the defense we had this year. First step will be stopping the run.
I gotta agree, B-Dub. We got trash.
But I put an asterisk by because, we'll look back on this year's defensive players, and as they grow older, this was the youngest, one of the 2 youngest defenses in the SEC. And I know people don't want to hear that, but these kids are going to grow up through all the hard times with being the worst defense in the history of the program. That's going to serve as motivation. And, under Barry Odom, I think it's going to help if you get the correct and the proper position coach. I think Barry Odom's going to be a great linebacker coach for the incoming linebackers that's going to have the privilege of having be their coach. You're going to learn a lot of how to play football at this level in the SEC. Barry was all Big 12 linebacker himself, so he kind of knew how to play the game, and I think that's what you're going to see. Like I said, great linebacker coaches just have a different passion on that side of the ball, and they're able to convey the game because they're basically the quarterbacks, during their time.
So I think Mr. Roy, he made a very good comment. He said Arkansas needed a culture change. They needed a disciplined coach. That's what they got. You have a coach that has control, and I think if you go back to his press conference, you could see that you saw the control. You saw the way he controlled the crowd. You saw the way he could be himself. He didn't have to go out saying anything cliche. He could be, that country boy that grew up from Oklahoma. And you saw that. And I think that's a good point that Arkansas, so many times the last couple of years, Arkansas didn't have an identity, or we were trying to be something that we were not.
Yeah,
and I think now with Coach Pittman, he has an ideal of what he wants. And he's been to too many traditional and great programs like Oklahoma, like Tennessee's, like Georgia's, like Arkansas's that have culture, and I think he understands, and I think that's big.
The next question was from Steve Arman. Are they recruiting any running backs? Yes, Arkansas has also made contact. Sam Pittman went and saw Isaiah Jacobs, the big-time running back there at Wasso, and brother of Oakland Raider Josh Jacobs. Yes, I think Isaiah's in the process of setting up an official visit. Also, too, there's a young man by the last name of Wren that was a Georgia commit that has decommitted, and he too, I think, when they reconvene after the Christmas break, will be making his way to the University of Arkansas for an official visit. So, Arkansas, and I think a lot of that, I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts here after this weekend, and the schools take their final official visits for the 2019 calendar. You'll start seeing other coaches, maybe big-time players, where they're at other schools, their coach will move to another school. Will that particular commit follow? So I think all that, with knowing who they're really going to be on and how it's going to shake out going down the stretch recruiting-wise, still has a lot to do with whom he brings in my opinion. But, yes, I do know that they are and have made contact with Isaiah Jacobs. And I'm telling you, I had a chance to call the game when they played Fayetteville. The young man's a stud, I'm telling you. He's a football player, and he could do big things in the SEC. I've seen a lot of SEC backs, and Isaiah definitely could get in this conference and do work. I have no doubt in my mind about that.
So yesterday, there was a big announcement from Cameron Curl. He released on social media that he will forego his senior year and enter the draft. What do you see for Cameron Curl, and how does that affect Arkansas going forward? And who do you see kind of filling that void at the safety position?
You just never know. I think that's going to be one of the voids that Coach Pittman and Coach Odom and that staff will go out and try to address. The safety position will be one I think they hit real hard at the junior college level, and even more in depth in that high school, or maybe look into the portal and see if there's some grad transfer big time difference makers at that position. I think Cameron Crew's going to, I think he has a chance to have a great career. Now, when you say that, it doesn't look like it when you come out of a program that didn't win many games. I mean, that's just be point blank period. 8 games, I think, over a 3-year period. He had the privilege of experiencing, but I thought this was his best year, and I think he is going to have to improve on his coverage skills. Let's just be blatantly honest about that. I think that was the one thing that we saw throughout his career. He still needs to get better at. As far as being physical, I mean, we know Cam's going to be a physical guy, so I think Cameron, it's going to be one of those guys that more and more that he plays the game of football, I mean, he's going to be one of those steady guys in the back end that you can count on to make plays. But I do think he's going to, play on Sundays. I really do. What you think?
I think Cam has the physical attributes. I don't think we really got to see Cameron Curl, the football player. I think the one year we did see him at corner, he, that really wasn't the position he played. So that was still a learning year. And then I think he has so many responsibilities at the safety position to make up for it that he really couldn't just play safety. So you've seen flashes of him that could potentially transfer over to the NFL. So I think I think he's going to get a chance on an NFL team. Now, whether he's drafted or not, I think that's one thing. And I think that's what a lot of guys forget when they forego their senior year. If you don't have a chance to get drafted in that, 4th round up to because I forgot what round isn't guaranteed. What is it? Is it 4th round?
4th. I believe it's the 4th round.
So I don't think it's a bad decision, but I maybe would have took a second look at it again if I wasn't for sure draft pick.
And we have another call. Do y'all think, and this is from Terry Roy, do y'all think a quarterback will be named by the spring game, unlike the past 2 seasons. I do. I think if and I know KJ Jefferson's if he hadn't, I think he's about to undergo a little shoulder surgery. But I think once he comes back, if he's 100%, I think he has kind of a jump on the other 2 quarterbacks. And it's not, I think, just by the physical attributes. I think if KJ can come in with the new OC and really display leadership qualities as we've seen throughout his high school career, and even just we had stints there in the Mississippi game and then LSU. Then I think KJ would, have the greatest advantage. Now, all that would be said is what type of offensive line will be put in front of KJ, and a lot's going to be determined with the quarterback as to where Raheem Boyd was going to be. The running back is going to determine really and have a little impact on who's the starting quarterback if he can be named in the spring. Because if you have Raheem Boyd back there, then you're not so much evaluating the running back spot. You can put all your attention on that quarterback development. So I think that's going to be real key. I mean, are you on the same page where I think a lot's going to be determined by what Raheem Boyd does?
Yeah, I do, but I think it's going to be who best fits that RPO.
Right.
I mean, because the running back is important, but KJ with the way he does his fakes and finishes and the ability to do something after the run, I think he just fits the mold of what.
Right.
Sam Pittman described of the type of offense that he wanted to run.
He didn't say RPO.
That's what he kept saying. He really wanted to focus his football game around is the quarterback run pass option. So I feel if KJ can improve from an accuracy standpoint and his actual wind up and release, because I think he takes a little while to throw the actual ball. I think if he can fix a couple mechanical things, he has the running part down. But I think if he can be more like Lamar Jackson and understand that he has the feet and he can build that arm, I think he could be great.
And we got to give some credit because I do remember Chris Shaw, our good buddy out of Fort Benning, Georgia, our viewer. He did mention Barry Odom.
Yeah, he did. He
on one of our comments, Barry Odom or Charlie Strong. So
I do.
He sent in comment, and also too. Mr. Roy feels that Pittman will be more of a running type of coach. I don't necessarily think he'll be that way. I think he's going to be like a Nick Saban or Ed Orgeron, to where, back in the day that would have worked. But I think they're so entrenched in the way the game has evolved. I think that he's going to hire a very creative guy. Because in our interview, our opening introductory with Sam, that's the first thing he talked about was he likes the 3 out, 1 tight end RPO set, and that lets me know that he, and he was just basically saying, the spread offense and the days of being able to pound. Or what he say in his particular words, Demetrius? You got to have the real deal.
Yeah, you got to have the real deal, or you got to have the athletes.
Right.
You got to have the guys. But he said, it's not obsolete. It's just few far in between that you can do it for full games. He even talked about running the ball.
Right.
He mentioned I don't want to do a lot of running. I want to wait to the third and fourth quarter to do my ground and pound to finish the game.
Then he went back to what he said. You better have the real deal.
Exactly. So
I
think it's exciting because I think he's being innovative and I think he's trying to bring Arkansas up to speed.
Right.
I think you'll see flashes of that Petrino, what guys wanted from a Petrino offense as far as flair, seeing the air raid once we do get that, because I think we had the receivers in Trey Knox and Traylon Burks if they do decide to stay, which I think once everything gets intact, they will. So I think the pieces are really going to fall into place. I think the thing to think about is the defensive side. Right. If Arkansas can figure out a way to, especially the secondary is really where the question mark is, because they're either going to have to go to the JUCO ranks or they're going to have to bring some great freshmen in. But either way,
now, Donovan Jackson is a guy committed to Virginia, a young man out of the New Orleans area that I know they were real high on, 6'2", 190 safety. He's taking an official visit here this weekend, and it just goes to show a lot of the work. And you could, like I said, Sam Pittman, he said it in the opening press conference, make it hard for him to tell you no. So I don't know what has been going on in these in-home visits, but Sam has definitely, I guess, got across the passion of, his vision for what he wants to get accomplished here at the University of Arkansas. But we're going to step away, get us a real quick break. You shoot us more questions, man. Demetrius, we want to talk to you. It's the A segment for our fans, our viewers, and all of y'all. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ. We're going to let you hear a little bit more of Muss, and then we'll come back and let you hear, I believe, senior guard Jimmy Witt. But all that's coming up. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
You can grab your team's attention after a loss, a little bit more, but certainly we as a group wish that we would have closed that game out the other night, but we didn't, and so, yeah, we have to watch video, and it's painful to see some of the mistakes that we made. And, everybody always points to, last shot or this or that. And in reality, we did some things that we haven't done all year. Our baseline out of bounds defense was really bad. And it's been really, really great all year. But for whatever reason, that game, we were really poor defending on baseline out of bounds. So we grab our guys' attention and hope we're a little bit better in those type instances than we were last Saturday.
Jimmy Witt's played those guys several times. Did he offer the inside at all?
No, I mean, Jimmy understands some of the personnel and strengths and weaknesses, and we played Tulsa last year at Nevada. So, we have our old scouting reports, but everything's kind of different and changes, and how Jimmy played stuff at SMU's, probably different than how we play it. So, but it's helpful for him to certainly feel like he knows some of the personnel on the opposition's team.
They have some players now that are playing key roles for them that were key guys last year that you kind of have already had experience against.
Yeah, Horns, last year and this year we felt like he's a guy when they need a basket, they'll get it to number 41 who plays the 3 and the 4 for them. Obviously the transfer from LSU, number 0, Rochelle, he did not play last year, but he's a really good player that's a kind of a guy who creates offense and defense for him. But, Joyner played against us at the point last year, so they have a lot of pieces back. And Jackson's a guy that can really dribble, drive, and find seams in the defense. And, they're off guard. 22 can really shoot it. We can't give him any airspace. And Karita.
Welcome in. Once again, want to give a shout out to our sponsors that make this all possible for us to bring such a great broadcast and so much information to you all. Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting. Commercial, residential, exterior, it doesn't matter. If you need something to look good, call Corey Beck and you won't be disappointed. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. That's at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of that love. And like it says on their building, it's not your mama's, the best chicken and waffles in the South. If anyone would like to sponsor us on the Hill, you can do so by reaching out to us. You can catch us on our email. That's onthehillpatj@gmail.com. Also, too, you can reach us on our Facebook page, On the Hill Sports Talk, or you can also contact us via our YouTube live stream. That's On the Hill Sports Talk LLC. Or you can give us a call. You can chime at us at 601-7400. That'll also we'll be glad to take your your information. But that's for if anyone would be interested in being a proud sponsor of On the Hill Sports Talk Radio. But back over to my guy, little basketball, as we let you hear the second half of the breakdown on tomorrow's home opener, or I should say home ball game versus the Tulsa Hurricanes from the Muss Bus. Coach Muss got them going, Demetrius, and I saw a little thing I wanted to talk to you about. He seems to have a great feel for the students on campus. I saw a social media deal I think it was a couple days ago, where he went to a fraternity house, and kind of did some fellowship. I mean, those are the types of things. And when you think about it, Demetrius, think about this with Pittman, and what would you think about Pittman, Muss, and Coach Neighbors all getting together and rallying this the students on campus? I mean, they all have that natural ability. Don't you think that'd be kind of crazy?
Let me stop you right there. Don't disrespect my guy Van Horn.
No, that's right.
Don't disrespect my guy Van Horn.
See what I mean by that. But what I mean by that is, Pittman and Muss and Neighbors, they have that energetic that let's get out and, get with people. Van Horn is more the Nick Saban type, laid back, kind of. I can't, because he's a great coach. Make no mistake about it. He's the GOAT when it comes to, that part. But I'm just saying, as far as the energy that the students would feel from it for particular coaches, I think Pittman, Neighbors, and Muss, I think they got it. No, I think Courtney Deifel, she seems to have that. I think Coach Deifel, you throw on that.
I heard good things about that gymnastic coach too.
Yes, Jordan Weaver too. I forgot about you, Jay.
I haven't went out and seen a gymnastic event, but I heard a lot of good things about the gymnastics coach. I know a lot of people don't give them a lot of media attention or mention them often, but I heard she's a wonderful coach and a wonderful person to be around.
We got a question from Corin Cleves. What do you think about the safety we got from Texas last year? Filling in Jalen Catalon.
Jordan.
I think it's going to be a great, guy to step in. I think JC should have played a lot this year. Didn't understand why he didn't get as many snaps as I thought he should have gotten. But I think, Jalen Catalon is going to be more than able to fill in at that spot. I mean, you hate to lose a upcoming senior, that Cam would have been that senior leadership. But when you can replace a Cameron Curl with a Jalen Catalon, a guy who was highly, highly recruited, I'm telling you, I saw him during fall camp. The kid has some instincts. The kid has some natural instincts, ball hawking ability that I think will be highly, highly valuable going forward for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I personally need to see more film on him to really just definitively speak on him, because I don't think he really got his opportunity to really show us what he could do on the field. I know he was recruited in highly out of high school, but I definitely have to see more of his film as far as him playing on the collegiate level.
Right. I think you will. I think just, man, like you said, it's just so interesting, the moving parts, Demetrius, with this upcoming football season. I mean, still yet they're bringing in coaches. I mean, how will the recruiting landscape, the footprint? I think they're going to continue to keep Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and Tennessee and Louisiana states that touch us. I think are going to be footprint states, but I also think Arkansas is going to be able to, with the staff that they're going to be able to put together, expand on a national level and go get kids that maybe they may not have gotten. Kind of like Eric Musselman and that staff. Attract kids to the program, and Mike Neighbors that maybe, from distances that might not have considered you because you have those renowned coaches and recruiters.
And I honestly, I'm sorry, I got to jump back to Jalen Catalon. I don't know about him playing that safety position, but I think he should have got him and Greg Brooks probably should have split more of that nickel position.
Yeah.
When I look at just his physical attributes, being 5'10", not to say short guys can't play safety, but I feel more comfortable with shorter guys playing that like nickel. Sometimes having responsibilities of a safety, but kind of playing that inside slot guy.
Right.
But I think Jalen Catalon is going to be good. I think with this next coaching staff, I think they're going to find exquisite ways to use these guys.
Yes.
I think they're going to find they might not athletically be gifted as all these other teams, but I think from a coaching standpoint, they're going to find ways to put them in winning positions.
I just like that. Like I said, I go back to the Barry Odom. I think with Barry, I think he's going to find, and I agree with you, Demetrius, 100%. Barry Odom is one of the more creative, innovative defensive minds when you talk about being a defensive coordinator. And I'm not going to throw in head coach because some people are great coordinators and not head coaches. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to knock Barry. This is a guy that was 25-25 and only had one losing season, which that was in year one. He went 4-8. Every other year he won at least 6+, with I believe the best being 8-4. But I just think that the way that he's going to be able to see defenses. He's been a defensive coordinator in the SEC, so it's not going to be like, oh, I'm caught off guard. He's played SEC West teams each and every year. He's been in SEC West venues. Now, I think it's the toughest division in football, but he's been a championship game, SEC championship game, DC. I mean, he's had to prepare for the biggest game of the year. And I think that's what, when you go back and Demetrius, we was at the press conference with Hunter Yurachek. He wanted coaches, and I think Coach Pittman as well wants coaches that's been there, played in championships, conference, and things like that. That big stage just only drives him, and he can bring them here. And, you can do – this is a sleeping giant that I'll continue to say. It's a sleeping giant of a program. But we had a question, Trey Scott, defensive line coach, and it was from Keith Kidd out of Fayetteville. I just think right now, and I think Trey will be the guy. I think it's still going to be I think they may be getting some numbers worked out. I do think Trey wants to come back, being across it. Arkansas native, having played at Crawford High School, attended and played football at Arkansas Tech. I just think who wouldn't want to come home to a situation that you could walk into with resurrecting the program, and lo and behold, it's your home state. So I think you would understand that. So I'm looking forward. I think Trey Scott will be the guy at that position. But I think you'll see a lot more moving parts and assistant coaches being brought in once this recruiting weekend takes place. And there's a thing, Demetrius, I just found I like him even more. And Sam Pittman declined going on the Paul Feinbaum show a few days ago because he felt like recruiting was more important. So he just went recruiting and told Feinbaum, no thanks.
I think that's smart. I think with Sam, I don't think he's trying to jump on that hype train. A lot of coaches, when they get new jobs, they want to make sure they get a lot of media attention, let kids know who they are. And I think Sam is that old kind of fashion, I'm going to get it out the mud kind of type of guy. I'm going to make sure.
Yes, sir, does enough.
I mean, if people are going to know me, they're going to know me off the works that I do. Right. And I respect that from an entrepreneurial standpoint, because it shows me he doesn't want handouts. He wants people to respect the product that he puts on the field and what he has to offer from the University of Arkansas. Isn't
it just a good breath of fresh air that we're sitting here and the fans seem like they're really rejuvenated? Because maybe less than a little over a week ago, you would have thought the sky was falling. We didn't have a coach. People were getting antsy. Felt like you were the last choice of coaches to want to come in the SEC. And I've always felt like it's never been the players or the program. I think people get a misconception about that. It's always just the coaches that we've hired. There's been some mistakes. I'm not going to knock and say everything Brett did was bad, but he had a lot of recruiting snafus, and, losing Sam Pittman was the worst thing he could ever did, and it hindered his program. Now, with Chad Morris did some good things. Won't deny that. Was able to bring in a very, very talented freshman group. And then that sophomore, a couple of those guys, like the Mike Woodses and the Rakeem Boyds, next year's, and Dorian Gerald, name a few. Brought in some pieces in that class as well. But, oh, my goodness. My goodness. Just everything about the program right now. You got Eric Musselman. The way he's been able to go out and recruit a top 5 national class in basketball. And, this is a basketball team I think that people are really starting to rally around because they're seeing how hard these kids play. And then you look over and there's Neighbors. What he's done with that women's program. And he and Todd Schaefer and Pauline Love and Coach Osafor and all Amber Shirey and that entire building in the women's basketball program has to be commended for the work they've done. Talk about coming out of the mud, Demetrius. Talk about coming out of the mud. I can remember the days of 250, if I'm lucky, 300 fans. I'm sitting in the press row and they're watching those women play, and to see them 9-1 ranked, and I really think they have a chance to be a Sweet 16 team. You have to feel good if you're a Razorback fan. Dave Van Horn, Jordan Weaver. When you look at the group of coaches on Razorback Road, how in the heck can you not feel good about the future going forward under the leadership of these head hogs, Demetrius? How? Talk to me.
Yeah, Arkansas has the chance to really be in the golden age. I think the closest person to probably do it is probably Florida, I believe.
Right.
When Florida won in 2 major sports in one year, which was I think they won with Tebow.
I got a question for you from Donnie A. Butts.
What's up?
I hate to interrupt, but he says, Pittman is willing to adapt to new things, not just the old style of things. And then he goes on to say, I hope teams overlook us next year because they will get a surprise. Why don't you chime in on those two? First, his ability to be able to adapt, and then the overlooking. And thanks for the question, Donnie A. Butts. That's a great question. We love you being a part of OTH, my man.
I think it's good because I'm kind of skimming down the schedule, and I really don't think Arkansas. Let's kind of break this game by
Now
game.
you know that the schedule really top heavy.
It
you
is,
look at it.
but I'm still looking at it. Okay, let's break this game one by one. Just looking at pieces that we have right now on campus.
Let's get it.
Okay, game one we got Nevada. I think that's a very winnable game.
You should win that football
for
game.
Arkansas.
You should win that just based that you should have more talent than Nevada in the story.
Exactly. So that's one win we think Arkansas can get Nevada. Okay. 2, we got Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame's going to be a different football team. They'll be under a new offensive scheme. They lost a lot on defense. I think, lost a lot of senior leadership. That's going to be a different football team. So who knows? Arkansas is going to be going to South Bend, a new offensive and a new era, a whole new culture under Sam Pittman. So I think that game will be a toss-up. You'd have to kind of give the edge, though, maybe to Notre Dame.
Exactly.
On the road.
I give it to Notre Dame just because it's at home for them, and I think
and they have let's be honest, recruited a little bit better, so they may have a little bit more of those dudes on their sideline.
And not only that, the cohesiveness with the team, I think it's just going to be more gelled and together than Arkansas. But what I will
think
say,
it's going to be a good game. Going to be a hell of a game.
That's what I was going to say.
A hell of a game.
I think this is going to be a coming out party of what he was saying is people are going to sleep on Arkansas.
Right.
Nah, I don't think they're going to sleep on Arkansas because I think when they come out and play Notre Dame, which has been a nationally ranked team, they're going to play them pretty close.
We're the University of damn Arkansas.
Yeah, so I'll say 1-1, but I think that's still going to be a good game. Okay, the third game we got Mississippi State.
At Mississippi State, I'm taking Arkansas on that one. I think they break the jinx. I think they get over the hump, and I think Arkansas is going to win that football game. Because there was a really good senior lad and offensive line there at Mississippi State this year, so I think Arkansas is going to get that one. My personal opinion, I think they come back 2-1.
I think they lose a lot, and I think it's a toss-up game. But I'm gonna give it to Arkansas. I know that may sound like a homer opinion, but I think by that game they build the momentum that they can play.
And I'm gonna tell you another thing, Demetrius, we got to make a note of, and I want viewers that hear us. Having Barry Odom be your defensive coordinator is a great asset because he's seen every offense that Arkansas will possibly have faced during his 3 years. I think he's played every single SEC West team. So that right there is going to be a big time advantage.
You know what else I think the beauty of having Barry Odom is he knows and he's familiar with the players even on the Arkansas side.
Right.
You got to think he knows some of these sophomore and freshmen. He's seen them the last 2 years. So I think that's an additive with even Barry Odom coming. He understands where Arkansas is. And I think even when you look at it from a schematic, you can kind of see they're deficient in players, but you think at Missouri he wasn't already putting a recruiting class together that he's not going to try to go get the top blue chip athletes that he was planning on bringing to Missouri that now he can flip to Arkansas.
Right.
So I think that's a good.
We're going to step away real quick and get us a little bit of Jimmy Witt. Let him give you just from the team's perspective how they're viewing this ball game tomorrow in Bud Walton Arena on Nola Richardson Court versus the Tulsa Hurricanes. Then we'll come back and wrap it up. Got any more questions? So shoot them to us, or you can call us even. 601-7400 will get you into the show. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
They've always been a good team from my 3 years at SMU. They've all been really good, really well coached. I know them well. 2 of the guys I played with in the summer. So it'll be a good matchup. It'll be a good game for sure.
Which guys were those? And were they from Dallas and that's how you ended up playing?
No, Kansas City when I played AAU basketball, Jariah Horn and Jackson, so Darren Jackson. So we've been really good friends ever since. So it's going to be fun to be able to see those guys this Saturday.
So you played AAU ball in high school?
Yeah, yeah, they played on our younger team. So.
Jimmy, what do you think about the way you guys kind of battled with Charles Massey the other night? I know you kind of got a chance to kind of mix it up with him a little bit on the interior.
I think it was good for us. It was a good.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's our Friday A edition. It's the edition that we are making available to all our listeners. We decided to have no guests today. Our guests are our viewers, the ones that chime in and call and, are a big part of why we do this show every day. You guys are the A today. And we let you hear audio from senior point guard Jimmy Witt, Mr. Do Everything for this basketball team, as he gave a little insight at, the general temperature of the ball club heading in versus the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. But I want to get back to the questions real quick, and then we're going to get back to our schedule. What about freshman defensive end that went to portal? Talking about Colin Clay. Came out this morning. He has officially entered the transfer portal. I think that was just Bayless. I think that's solely on not knowing who the defensive coordinator is going to be, who my defensive line coach. I think once all that's in place, they'll get a chance to sit down with Colin. Who knows? It may be a scenario where it's Devin Bush, where Devin was able to, say he wants to stay. I think Colin just needs to get some more clarification on the defensive side of the football. But I think by Barry Odom being named the DC here, I think that may alleviate some of his concern. I think that, but that's just to be expected. With any young man that loses his head coach and his position coaches and things of that nature, it's going to be a new defensive scheme. Who knows how he would, coach how he's going to use Collins. So I think all that will be, fixed. But let's get back over here real quick to our schedule for you guys.
All right, so far we got us at 2-1. 2 games we won are Nevada and Mississippi State, and the one game that we lost is Notre Dame. So on to A&M.
Woo! Arkansas and A&M always seem to have big time battles, and I think Arkansas, I don't know until they do it. I mean, I got to go with A&M until Arkansas breaks through. But I keep saying it's going to be a really good game, as has most of the Southwest Classic matchups between the Aggies and the Hogs. But I think A&M, no. I'm going to say Arkansas. I think Arkansas will find a way to get it done in a very, very, very tight ball game. They'll do something there in the last 3 or 4 minutes to get this done. So I'm going to go Hogs, 2-2.
I think if they win that Mississippi State game, I do think they go in and beat A&M.
Good point.
Because I think it's a momentum game. I think that's the team Arkansas is going to be. I think if they come in with a lot of momentum, they can be a special team.
Right.
And I think it still goes back to that Notre Dame game.
Right.
If they can come out and play Notre Dame very, very, very close and make it a tight game, I think going into that Mississippi State and A&M game, they're going to have a type of belief, and they're going to jump onto that culture and that toughness that Sam Pittman will be preaching and trying to instill in their mindset.
Next up,
Charleston Southern
win 3-2.
3-2.
So
now we got Alabama.
It's here in Fayetteville, close one, but I think Alabama ekes it out. 3-3.
LSU
3-4. LSU is going to be scary good. You think they're good this year? LSU is going to be very good next year. I'd say they're a year ahead of schedule. I thought it would be next year when they really take that step. But Joe Burrow, I mean, it's only a beginning. When TJ Finley gets, they'll continue to move forward.
Next game, Tennessee.
Arkansas gets that.
So is that 4-4 right now?
4-4.
Auburn. That's the interesting game. That's the rematch.
I'm giving the Hogs this one. Because I think they'll come in with a lot of momentum, 4-4, feeling good about themselves. And I just think that's when things will start building. I mean, KJ will have more confidence. I think then you got all those pieces at the skill position. So Arkansas gets that one.
So that's what, 5-4?
5-4.
Now we got Ole Miss.
Let's see.
That's Lane Kiffin down there.
They get that one. They should have got that one this year. They have more talent. I'm convinced Arkansas has more talent than Ole Miss. I'll continue to say that they are more talented than the Ole Miss Rebels and should win that football game.
So what are they now?
6-4. Man,
all right, now
we're giving them a lot of wins.
We got ULM.
I don't think this team gets 7 wins next year. So I got to give them a loss to Auburn. Bring them back down to 6. I think they beat ULM.
All right, so now we 6-5.
Wow, this team is
6-5. Okay, now the final game. We back at Barry Odom's old school.
7-5. Missouri, I give Arkansas that. They'll be playing that in Chiefs Stadium. I think Arkansas gets that.
So you heard it You heard it here on OTH first. Pat Jenkins said Arkansas will go 7-5.
Dang, that's real steep. I think I'll give them 6-6, man. I got to figure out a way. I'm gonna give them the loss to A&M and get it to 6-6.
So they beat Nevada,
Yeah.
beat Mississippi State, Charleston Southern. So they beat Tennessee, they beat Ole Miss, and they beat ULM.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. And how about Missouri? If they beat Missouri, that's 6-6, ain't it?
No, that'll be that 7th game because you got them beating Nevada. That's 1.
See, I got them losing up. Notre Dame,
That's 1,
Alabama,
2,
LSU,
3,
A&M,
4,
Auburn.
5.
Yeah.
That's 7-5.
Yeah, it sure is. 7-5. Sure is. Yeah, I said, yeah, I'll go with that.
So Pat
Because I think it's just so top heavy. If they can somehow navigate,
telling you that they slip
that
the key
early
is that
part.
Notre Dame game. If they
Yeah.
can go in there.
see, I think Notre Dame and A&M are the key games for them next year. I think, and Tennessee. I think those are going to be the big 3 swing games for this football team next year. I think they're going to be older. I think Arkansas. I know without a shadow of a doubt, under Sam Pittman, they're going to play. They're going to compete. They're going to be physical. Man. Whew. Just a lot. Donnie Butt said he thinks that Arkansas can beat Auburn.
I think they lose a lot on the defensive line, so I think
When
it's
you
possible.
lose Cole, Davidson, and Brown, you can't replace that. Those are all 3 first-round guys. They're going to definitely have a drop-off on defense, as will Auburn. And Auburn's offensive line, I think they still have some growing to do. I really do. They're talented, but I think, there's some deficiencies along that offensive line that may rear its head, during this time with having those defensive line, because they had the elite defensive front in the SEC this year, without question. We saw Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown were at the SEC media days with us, and I mean those were dudes.
And I think if you take those guys away, they lose a lot of games, like because they single handedly won some games for them. So I don't think Auburn was as elite as they really showed.
Yeah, I just think Arkansas. And like I said, this is going to conclude our show today. We want to thank
Pat
you for
said 7-5 though. I just want to say that one more time.
Yeah,
Pat said 7-5.
Hey, I'm hot. I tell everybody I'm gonna put it out there now. I'm on the train. I'm on the Sam Pittman. Yes, sir. I'm on it. That's my guy. I mean, I'm going to be very positive with him, but I think I say 7-5, 6-6, 5-7 seems more realistic. But I'm giving that 7-5 strictly because Sam is my man.
All right, one last question. Being that you said 7-5, that's the ceiling. What's the standard? What is the standard for Sam Pittman year 1?
4 wins, top. If he can win 4 wins, if he can get 4, if Sam gets 5, Sam should probably he's going to get a raise. If Sam can win 5 games, then he's going to be loved by the state of Arkansas. If he can all he got to do is win 5, then that's more than what Chad won in 2.
You got a point. I mean, when you do the math like that,
you get 5 wins, you only got 4.
It don't take a genius to break that down. So when you put it like that, because I'm like, why you gonna pay the man? He ain't even 6-6. That's not bowling. But
if a man can take this program and win 5 and go 5-7 in year 1, you have done something motivational to these young men to get the best out of them, to get those 5 wins. Yeah, you deserve a raise if you win 5 games.
I can see that. When you said Chad only went 2-2 and then he doubled it, like, yeah, I can see that.
5-7 beats 2-10 and 4-20 any day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but not a big raise. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We give him a raise, just don't give him that beat him or beat Texas raise. Just give him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Don't give him too much.
Well, B-Dub, he agrees with me. BC, he says 5-7. But that's going to wrap up our show today. Like I said, we enjoyed all of your interaction this week. Continue to bring it to us. We'll be back Monday. We'll be at the Arkansas-Tulsa men's basketball game tomorrow, and we'll also be in Bud Walton Arena as the women host Northwestern on Sunday. And we'll have all the updates when we come back in here on Monday. We'll start getting into the recruiting side of things as got a couple cats we want you to listen to. We're going to give them the platform to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks and all the recruiting options that these young men and women have the opportunity to sift through. Like I said, when you work that hard, I've always told these kids you deserve the right to be selfish. But we're going to be selfish because we got to get out of here. We got some things we got to do. For my producer, Demetrius Johnson, I want to give a thank you for all his production throughout the week. Our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, it's located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting. Any residential, commercial, exterior, interior, if you need it to look good, I'm telling you, he did our studio, and I'm telling you, I'm very pleased. Call Corey Beck, and you won't be disappointed. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. I'm going there just when I get off the air. You can find them. They're located at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of that love. I mean, it's a good old plate of love. And like they say on their building, it's not your mama's. The best chicken and waffles in the South. And want to give a thank you to all of our questions, all of our comments, all of our calls throughout the week. It's been a great week, and we hope to do it even better next week. Until then, it's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and let's get it.
Team God.